Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. Raleigh's biggest weekend in music is getting started. The Dreamville Hip Hop Music Festival returns to the city for the fourth year this weekend. There's been a lot of big changes heading into the festival, and WRAL's Destinee Patterson has been covering all of the preparations this week. Destinee, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to do it.
Let's start, I think most people have heard about Dreamville or certainly seen the traffic, had to sit in the traffic that can happen around Western and Dix Park this time of year. But what is it that makes Dreamville such a big deal for the city?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. The first thing is that we're getting people from all over the country, all 50 states, but also from all over the world. We have people coming from 23 different countries. So that means that we're getting people, and it's obviously then going to impact things like traffic, but it also does have a positive impact on things like our economy locally here. And the festival also does try to incorporate a lot of local vendors and local events so that while we have all of these people coming to the area, in a way, they're also giving back by giving these local businesses a platform as well.
And over the last week, as we've been getting ready for this festival, what kind of prep work goes into this, and who have you been talking to about some of those preparations?
Well, I'll tell you, it is not an easy feat. They do a lot leading up to the festival to make it what it really is. I had the opportunity to go actually inside of the festival grounds ahead of this weekend, and we could just see all of those crews working really hard to get everything set up. So throughout the week, I've been able to talk with people from Visit Raleigh, as well as the festival organizers. I also talked to a couple restaurant owners who will have their cuisines out at the festival on the festival grounds this weekend.
With the Dreamville Festival, we get lots of folks from out of state, sometimes from across the country, and so and being so close to Dix, over here, we'll get a lot of overflow from the restaurants up Hillsborough Street and downtown.
And of course, I also talked to some fans and some local businesses about what they're expecting going into this weekend.
And what is kind of the general consensus at this point? Dreamville's been done a few years now, so I feel like maybe, when a festival's just starting out, you're kind of figuring things out. How is it looking this year?
Yeah, we're going into year 4 now, and I definitely think that there are still some kinks that the festival is working through. One of them being things like securing artists. We know now that 50 Cent will be replacing Chris Brown as one of the headliners this weekend. We also know Money Long will also not be there. And those were two people that people were very excited to see.
I was like 50 Cent. Because I'm 26 years old, and Chris Brown was a little more nostalgic for me than 50 Cent was. And I think that was the main part I really was just kind of disappointed about. I wanted to see Chris Brown.
But I also think that fans are just trying to stay positive going into this weekend and trying to have as much fun as they possibly can. I mean, these people spend a lot of time, energy, and money to get here. And another challenge that they've kind of faced this year is hotel occupancy. I mean, last year occupancy was at 94%. So 94% of hotel rooms were booked. And this year, again, we're seeing this basically overflow. We've got hotels that are overbooked.
I get a phone call from them that morning saying, unfortunately, we have to cancel your reservation. We're overbooked.
He said, and there's no way I can rebook you because we're overbooked. The hotel situation is just ridiculous. I think that's totally unacceptable.
It's another one of those things that's a growing pain.
Have you guys considered putting any sort of restrictions or more regulations around Airbnbs and hotels?
I think the thing that again, what the hotel community is very cognizant of now in year 4 is the high number of visitor volume, the high number of demand on hotel rooms. And, they use that as an opportunity in the supply demand.
But at the end of the day, I think people are overall excited.
Right. And what do we know about that big lineup change? I've heard a lot of people talking about the 50 Cent over Chris Brown change there, especially because that announcement was made on April Fool's Day.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up to you because, I think a lot of people initially thought this was a joke, myself included. And even when we got the confirmation from festival organizers, it still was kind of like, are you sure you're not joking? It is April Fool's Day. But they did confirm that 50 Cent will be in for Chris Brown and Money Long. They will not be there. Now, they wouldn't say exactly why they wouldn't be there. I specifically asked that question during a news conference earlier this week. They just said unforeseen circumstances, and the lineup is always subject to change. So I think at this point, people are just taking it for what it is. I know there was a lot of disappointment.
I am so bummed out. I was really looking forward to seeing him because I know he's a good performer. So I was kind of sad. Well, really sad, actually. I will make the best of it. It's the beginning of spring. I'm going to be with my friends, so we're going to have a good time regardless.
I know a lot of people really wanted to see Chris Brown, but at this point, all we can do is try to enjoy it for what it is.
All right, let's take a quick break right there, and we'll be right back. So, Destinee, before the break, we were talking about some of the lineup changes that have happened with Dreamville this year. I also understand there's been a lot of changes to some of the logistics and even some of the technical effects people are going to see on the stage. What can people expect to see when they come in the festival this year that might be different?
Yeah, so we are expecting to have a much better sound and production experience at both stages, and specifically at stage number 2, the smaller stage. Last year, I know that people were having some issues with being able to actually see some of the performances based on their vantage point. So festival organizers have said that they have reoriented the stage and then also implemented those better elements like the sound and the production to make it a better viewing experience for people coming in. In addition to that, we're going to have 50 plus food vendors. Most of them are local or from North Carolina. Again, that speaks to that impact that we're seeing here locally. And then, of course, the things that matter, like flushable toilets, are always something that you like to have at these festivals when you're out there all day. And, historically, it's been really difficult for people to be able to find a ride back after the festival is over. And so one of the things that they say that they're implementing this year, they have 25% more shuttle capacity and more shuttles, period, so that people will be able to get back to their, wherever they're staying once the artists wrap up each night.
Okay. And you've touched on this, especially with the food vendors, just the way that the festival tries to incorporate local businesses. What other events are going on in the city that are tied to the festival?
Oh, there are so many. We would be here forever if I went down all of them. But right now they've got a pop-up that's going on, and you can get things like t-shirts, other merchandise there. But they also have things like yoga. They have a block party. They also have something called Engineers that will be in Raleigh tomorrow. And it was in Fayetteville earlier this week. So that allows people the experience of being able to really dig in for people who are true music lovers. And then at Cam Raleigh, they also are going to have some music industry legends there as well that, people will be able to listen to them on a panel. So those are just some of the things that they're doing going into this weekend.
And with all of that being said, what is the economic impact that this festival has on the city of Raleigh?
So obviously 2024's festival hasn't happened yet, but historically the economic impact has only continued to grow, especially coming off of last year when we had these huge headliners like Usher and Drake. Last night, we had an economic impact of $145.9 million for Wake County. Wow. So that is huge. And again, they're expecting that to only grow over the years. Again, I know that I mentioned some of the hiccups that they ran into this year, but they still are confident that they are going to surpass that number once we are able to look back at how 2024 has impacted the area. So very, very big. And again, like I mentioned, we have people all over the country, all over the world that are coming to Raleigh, North Carolina to see these artists perform.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Destinee. The Dreamville Festival runs Saturday and Sunday at Dorothea Dix Park. We've got more details on our website, WRAL.com. Thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with local news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.